Hi everyone, my name is Llewellyn Bill and I want to thank you for coming to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about a, what do you call it? I guess a written story that I had written. And I originally wrote this story for Toastmasters. And I'd like to read it to you. And it has a lot of facts in there as well as a story. And so if you would bear with me, I'm going to bring that up. I don't remember all of it. I remember most of it, but I don't remember all of it. And I'd like to share this with you. It's about abuse and gives facts about domestic violence and things like that and things that you can do to help others. So bear with me as I do this. It's called Speak Up. It's 9 o'clock at night. She's sitting on the couch holding their 1-year-old daughter. Her husband comes in. She smiles at him and says, "Shh, she's sleeping." She looks down at their daughter and gently rubs the hair away from her eyes. And she's looking down. Next thing she knows, she feels a fist right in the eye. She doesn't say anything. She knows if she does, the beatings will be worse. She doesn't draw his attention to their daughter, or he will hit her just to prove he can. As he continues hitting her, she immediately covers her child with her body and turns around on the couch to lay the child on the couch. And she stands over to protect the child. And she can't move once the child's on the couch. So she holds herself up by holding on the back of the couch and on the side of the couch. And her husband is hitting her harder and harder on the back of her head, on her back, on her shoulders. And all she can do is protect their daughter from being hit. Through tears, blood, and a swollen eye, she looks up and sees their 5-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son standing on the staircase, witnessing it all. She gasps. He looks at the children, stops hitting his wife, and pushing past the children, he goes up to their room. I'm going to give you some facts now. Fact is that 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence during their lifetime. 1 in 7 men will experience domestic abuse. Yes, men. I think they call it domestic violence for men. A woman is beaten every 9 seconds in the United States. Every 9 seconds. Think about that. You see, domestic violence is a pattern of behavior used to establish power and control over another person through fear, intimidation, and often including the threat or use of violence. I know mine did. Other terms for domestic violence include intimate partner violence, battering, relationship abuse, spousal abuse, or even family violence. Domestic violence and abuse can happen to anyone, regardless of gender, race, age, sexual orientation, income, other factors. Both women and men can be victims of domestic violence. I know I've said this earlier, but please let me repeat this. Men can be victims too, even though they are less likely than women to talk about it. More than 3 million children witness domestic violence in their homes every year. Did you hear that? More than 3 million children witness domestic violence in their homes every year. And children who live in homes where there is domestic violence also suffer abuse or neglect at high rates of 30 to 60%. Back to the story. Years later, the 3-year-old boy is now 17. The mom has divorced the father, remarried, and the boy is troubled. Has been since he was 7. He's been a violent child, and it's getting worse. The mom has tried everything and asked anyone she could think of for help for her son when he was growing up. The police, the school, counseling, but no one would help. It's now too late. He ended up in jail. Fact. Without help, boys who witness domestic violence are far more likely to become abusers, thus continuing the cycle of violence in the next generation. Without help, girls who witness domestic violence are more vulnerable to abuse as teens and adults. Back to the story. When that 1-year-old little girl turns 19, she marries a violent man, has a boy by him, and he is violent to her and their son. Here's a fact for you. Girls and young women between the ages of 16 and 24 experience the highest rate of intimate partner violence, almost triple the national average. Only 33% of teens who were in a violent relationship ever told anyone about the abuse. 81% of parents believe that teen dating violence is not an issue or admit they don't know if it's an issue. 82% of parents feel confident that they could recognize the signs if their child was experiencing dating abuse. And a majority of parents, 58%, said they could not correctly identify all the warning signs of abuse. Do you know what the warning signs are? They can be things like jealousy, controlling behavior, quick involvement, which is like moving in after meeting them, and I mean right after, isolation, even verbal or physical mental abuse, just to name a few. You see, I am one of the 82% of parents who was confident that I would and could recognize the signs if my child was in an abusive situation. As a parent, I knew when that 1-year-old little girl was getting involved in a violent relationship/marriage. I tried really hard to make her see what she was doing, but she didn't listen. Now I live with the fact that my grandson is angry all the time. He's 9 years old, and I worry that he may grow up and end up in jail like my son did, or worse, be violent like his dad is. Now, this story isn't only a true story, but this is my story. I am that young mom holding her 1-year-old daughter while my husband was hitting me and hitting me and hitting me. See, I didn't know there was help out there. I didn't even know that I needed help or that my situation was not normal. I never knew that. I grew up with an abusive mother and stepfather. So to me, this was normal. It was routine. It just was. My 5-year-old daughter is now 31. She's married and has a daughter of her own. And she knew that what happened with her mom and siblings, and she chose to go a different path. So she's married to a man that is great and wonderful for her and their daughter. As of today, my son is 31. He's married and has 2 daughters of his own. Going to jail really helped him as he had to take all kinds of classes, even anger management class. And he's doing really well now. And he is one of the minorities that will not abuse kids. He will not spank his kids. He's an amazing dad, an amazing husband, an amazing man. I'm so proud of him. My daughter, my youngest daughter, who was 1 in the story, is now 29. She has long since divorced that man. They still have that child together. And she is married now. And she has a total of 3 boys altogether. Sometimes it always doesn't work out for families, not all families. But if you know of someone who is in an abusive relationship or situation, get them to call a victim or abuse hotline or even email someone. If they can't, because of fear from threats against them or their children, or they don't, please don't blame them. Be there with them, but the more that you push at them, the more they're going to back away from you, and you won't be around them to help protect them. So don't push them away. Don't say negative things about their spouse, because that will just ultimately push them away. Just listen. Be there for them. Show them with words and actions and deeds that abuse is not right. It's not normal. Just be there for them if you can. So I ask each one of you, help change these facts. Speak up, speak out, and help make a difference for victims of domestic violence. Now, you're probably wondering how. What can I do? Well, let me tell you some things that you can do. You can donate goods. There are shelters that are out there that are in need in clothes and shoes and games and school supplies and other materials specifically for children. So contact your local shelter to find out what their needs are and see if you can't donate. Maybe volunteer. Find out if that shelter allows volunteers to come in and work with adults and children. They always need volunteers for something. So find out. Last but not least, talk about it. So often needs are overlooked, not because people don't care, but because they aren't aware. If our communities are not aware of the great need that exists for children's programs and shelters, how can they be expected to make a change? It's time that we educate ourselves and others about the far reaching effects of domestic violence on the entire family. Entire family. So please try and locate or contact your local city for domestic violence prevention or child abuse prevention. And you can also do what I did and Google how to prevent domestic violence. In Oregon, I found that Christians Trust Fund of Oregon Foundation. I also found Ford Family Foundation, just to name a couple. But there are also so many, many more. So I ask of you, please speak up, help stop abuse, make more people aware. If you like this story and you want to hear more about what I went through and some of the steps that I did to start healing, please make sure that you subscribe, you like, and you comment below. I thank you so much for watching and know that God loves you, and so do I. Thank you for watching.